Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you my entry for a nail art competition hosted by the Facebook group Nail Nerds. So for this challenge we were asked to create a set of nails on a real hand using the theme Tranquillity. So they wanted to see heavy emphasis on hand painting and it had to include the colour orange. So because I knew these nails were going to take me hours, I decided to do them on myself, and I already had nails on. So I filed them down, filed them right back, infilled them with hard gel, and then filed them back some more. So I wanted a really thin base because this design is going to be built up in a lot of layers, so I didn't want them to be all thick and chunky at the end. So I started by applying 2 layers of gel polish. This is Primrose by Halo, and we want to leave that sticky inhibition layer because it's the perfect base for creating an ombre. So I'm going to be using pigment powders. These are the Solar Pigments by the Nail and Beauty Network, which also glow in the dark. So I'm just going to use a fluffy brush and just apply those just very gently. Less is more, you can always build it up. And that tacky inhibition layer is just enough to hold it in place and get a really nice blend. So for me, Tranquility, I think of, I'm a big advocate for meditation. So sometimes if I can't sleep, I lie in bed and I close my eyes and I picture myself just lying on the beach and I can hear the waves. Sometimes I use apps for that. Calm app's really good, and I can just see myself there with a cocktail on the beach, loving life. So that's what I'm going to try and recreate in this set anyway. So I actually really like this matte effect, but we're going to top coat it because we've got a few more layers to do yet. However, my top tip for you, if you do an ombre with pigment powders and you do want a matte finish, I would recommend putting down an ordinary top coat first, because a matte top coat tends to have sort of small particles in it, which will then scratch and smudge your ombre. So I always do normal top coat and then a matte one. At this point I decided to repeat the process again because I just wanted the colour to be a bit more vibrant. So exactly the same as I did the first time, but we're not going to top coat yet because I want to go straight in with the acrylic paint. So I always like to start with a focal point. So in this case, I'm going to use the sun. So that's going to be the main part of the picture. So I'm going to put that in with a dotting tool and some acrylic paint. So I like when I'm doing hand painting to use acrylic paint rather than gel because it's just quicker, because it dries instantly near enough rather than having to keep curing it in the lamp. And it dries quite thin as well. So if you're building up in layers, which I like to do, there's no kind of fast track way, I think, with hand painting. There's tips that I can give you. First of all, reference photos I think are really important. I mean, this I was sort of copying from one image. This one was sort of my main idea, but if I'm painting water, for instance, I'll normally have multiple images of water in front of me so I can kind of combine them and get a feel for it. So that helps. And also a good quality acrylic paint. A lot of them, the cheap ones you find in, I don't know, like the pound shop I've used before, they are not very pigmented and they're very watery, and it takes you forever to build up that colour. So my personal favourite is Daler Rowney, and I tend to water it down slightly to the consistency of probably like double cream. That way it keeps the integrity with the pigment, but you can layer it. So for the next bit, I wanted the sun to look as though it was really glowing. So I thought the smoothest way to do this would be using Blossom Gel. So I put the Blossom Gel base down and then I put a small dot of white Blossom Gel into the centre of the sun. And this is a cool effect. You just wait a minute or two and the pigment sort of fans out, it sort of spreads out and gives like this glowing effect. So all I had to do now was use a tiny brush to paint on my palm fronds. So once I did that, I then coated each nail in a layer of hard gel, which I cured and then buffed up and polished just to get rid of any imperfections, and then finished with one final layer of top coat. And that is my final design. Thank you for watching.